welcome back to a new episode of Who Said What. I'm Heba.
And I'm Nira.
And we have our guest today, Dina El Khachab, who is an old friend. And she's an architect. And I'm going to pick her brain because I'm also an interior designer.
She's a very, very good architect.
Yes,
She was
super
very
good.
Successful, has her own company.
Yes, founder of
respect.
Eklego. Please actually start with that.
You can introduce yourself, basically.
Yes, exactly.
So, as you guys know, I founded Eklego. I'm a co-founder of Eklego that started in 2000. Sorry, I came in 1999 from Montreal. I grew up in Montreal and came in around 23 years old. And I met my business partner at the time, Hedi Islam. And we started out freelancing and
I'm going to cut you off because I'm going to tell you this funny story. We met you. You were designing an apartment. I think it was one of your first projects. You and Hedi, and I was there. I came.
Video
up,
Alfin?
No, you remember Khaled Arif? She designed.
You're kidding.
Yes. See?
I don't even remember.
Don't you remember the Maadi? Really tall burg. It's like on the 20th or.
It was the 20th floor.
Was it?
It was, you know those abrog that are on the Nile, the three of them?
The guy
Faris or
Saudi.
Faris?
No, Saudi. He's Saudi.
Aywa.
Don't you remember?
I remember this.
Seriously?
Yes, because Talal and I, we were there.
Because your ex was his friend. Or
Exactly.
Something like
and
that.
we were there, Khaled and I, and you were there with Hedi, and you guys were taking measurements because you guys were doing something.
Yes, I remember
So
that.
was that one of your first projects?
That was one of my first projects, yeah. I mean, I don't even remember the whole project. I don't think it went through to fruition.
It didn't?
I can't even remember, to be honest.
You know, I don't remember either. But I think you guys did something, some sort of seating or you had changed
maybe
something.
we did something. I can't remember. But yeah, we did a lot of freelance stuff, and some things were full projects, some things we were doing anything. Like anyone who'd give us anything, we did.
And so Hedi is interior designer, but you're an architect, right?
I'm an architect, yeah. And I work mainly in interior architecture. But I love, these days I'm really getting into architecture.
Okay, yeah. And so, but basically, so you were both partners, and how long, but she's not here anymore.
She's not here anymore, but she's still a silent partner. Her and Heba are still silent partners. Heba's a partner who came a bit later. So that, I think we stayed active partners for 13 years. And Heba stayed with us for 10 years overlapping. So half with Hindi, half without. And then since 2017, I would say, I've been on my own. Leading on my own.
How was it having a partner that's a friend? Was she originally a friend?
I moved in 99, so she was a friend, but we weren't that close. Our friendship really became super strong during
the partnership.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you guys compliment each other? Because Nira and I had a business together, so we had times where we complimented each other, and sometimes we wanted to kill each other.
See, but
we complimented each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she had one role and you had...
For me, Hedi was like I came at 23. Obviously, that's supposed to be an adult, but I wasn't really an adult. Oh, yeah. I was still a kid, and I lived with my uncle when I moved, and Egypt was very overwhelming. And, and so Hedi was sort of this, little angel who was kind of this sister to me, who I really, looked up to and who kind of took care of me. I mean, I don't know if she took care of me, but she was the person who would be my second go-to or my first go-to whenever there was a problem. She was really... family for me.
So you came from Montreal and your parents didn't live here, did they?
No, I came by myself. I wasn't coming to move. I came for 2 years on a grant and then.
Oh. Okay. And so what made you stay?
I had no idea.
Yeah, I wasn't coming to stay. I mean, I was so Canadian at the time. I mean, people would say I'm still kind of Canadian, but definitely much more integrated. But I think I was having fun. When I was in college, I was very serious, very academic. Dressed in black, smoked cigarettes, and whatever. When I came here, everyone was having fun, so I just had so much fun. And
we're good at that here.
Yeah, every day you're going out. I started drinking again, and then I think fun doesn't really mean happiness. And so after 2 years, everyone was like, just leave. Your instinct says you're not happy. Just leave. And I felt like you don't leave when you're not happy. You leave when you're happy and things aren't working, right? So I thought, let me just stay until I make it work, and then. If individual things don't work or I get a job or whatever, then I can leave. But I'm not going to leave when I'm unhappy. I'll never come back.
Yeah. So why were you unhappy? Oh my God, I was so happy those days.
Did
Those
you-
days, 2000, that was
Yeah.
like so much
Party,
fun.
party every night.
But I think because you were used to here.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, for me it was like I just didn't understand.
Okay, yeah, actually
People.
that's interesting because you're Egyptian, but you grew up in Canada.
I grew up in
so
Canada.
what was it that kind of made you unhappy at the time?
People are just different. Like it comes down to super. I say this all the time, but like stupid things, like like the concept of time. Like this idea that people think time is fluid and it's okay to be an hour late, and like even stupid things like that.
Why are you looking at me about? Okay.
Because Nira does that all the time. No, I know what you mean, and I used to be one of those people until I met a friend
Mark?
of mine who is very German,
You
and
know
I
Mark.
remember he would be like,
It's rude.
"Come, we're gonna meet at 7 at Bodega," and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, sure, cool." I'd walk in at 9, but because, in fairness, anytime before that, when somebody said 7, they meant 9. People here in Egypt, when they say 7, they mean 9. But he was like, "Okay."
But then why say it? Let's say
I
we'll
don't
meet
know.
tonight.
But then he was like, "Listen, when we say 7, we mean 7. You can come at 7:15 maybe, but 9 is pushing it." So since then, I'm always on time. But Nira I've given her the baton because she's always late, Nira. Always.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't mean to be. To be honest, I honestly like the funny thing is, 50% of the time I'm like super on time. Like sometimes with one person, she's like, "Near, be here at 7." Now because it's like a weekly thing, I'm there by 5 to 7, quarter to 7. I'm there. With Heba, I'm super fluid. She's my sister and she lives across the street. And so sometimes, unfortunately, I literally don't show up. like something happens and she's
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
pissed off at me.
It drives
and
me
I
bonkers
get
when
it.
she
I
does that.
get
And
it.
then she shows up. No, Nira literally with me shows up 5 hours later when I'm in the middle of doing. Now I'm not free anymore. I'm in the middle of doing something, and
And I
she
piss
looks at me
her
like,
off.
"Why are you annoyed?" It's like
I don't
Yeah.
understand. I know
you
why
told me
you're
you were coming
annoyed.
at 12.
but
It's
that's
5 o'clock in the
a
afternoon.
cultural thing. Like
I know why you're
everyone's like
annoyed,
that.
and I always apologize. I know why she's annoyed.
So what did you do? Did you adapt, or did you make the others adapt to you?
I still have this little bit of like, I mean, it's sufficient. I mean, don't talk to me about time if we're not going to actually respect it. It's just a waste of a conversation. Like,
I agree.
but I know when to ask, is it real time or not? Like, if it's a work meeting, it's a work meeting. It's on time. But if it's like, friends that I know are not very punctual, I can have the conversation and say like, when are you actually going to be there? And I won't go unless they message me saying I'm there.
Yeah.
But it's not just the timing. It's just the concept behind this idea that there's no seriousness to anything.
Yeah. I know
Right?
what
Like
you mean.
there's no, everything is okay and everything's easy and everything is, in Canada, everything was scheduled and everything was right and everything was on time. Like it just was different. People were, and as a result, the positive for me is like people are softer.
Yeah.
Right? Which is Hidi's like a super soft person. And it was my first introduction, and my uncle also super soft. Like my first introduction to people who are just relaxed.
Chill.
Yeah. Even though they're not necessarily relaxed, but their attitude is relaxed. In Canada, if you're not relaxed, you're not relaxed. You can't act relaxed.
Yeah.
If you're a stressed person, you're a stressed person, even in social.
Yeah, I think then was much more chill. I think I was really chill then, or maybe it's a function of being younger or something.
We're younger, less responsibilities. You're sitting and partying every night, drinking every night.
Oh my
coming
God,
home,
yeah, we
going
partied
to work
5
the
nights
next
a
day
week.
at 7 o'clock in the morning.
That's the one thing that I thought was fun.
Yeah, it
but
was
fun
super
doesn't
fun.
mean happy. Right?
I don't know. I was pretty happy.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not
happy.
necessarily.
She was pretty inebriated the whole time too. We
I
all
was
were.
pretty drunk the whole time, so maybe that's why I didn't know. I couldn't distinguish between unhappy and happy. It was like that's it. It's cool. No, but I found that those times were super fun, and
They were fun.
What was nice is that there was a small group of people. And It was and you
but we
always.
went out every day
It's true.
with the same people.
Which was
Yeah.
great because like at
Which
the
got boring
time
though at the same time.
it wasn't
right?
Just
boring.
what?
It got boring, but at the same
Boring.
time,
It got
like
boring.
now when you go out now, so then I could go to Sangria on my own, and chances are I'll bump into at least 15 people that I
Yeah.
know. You did not have to go out with your friends
Yes.
to a place because you knew you were going to probably see them there and a bunch of other people as well. But now it's different. Now when you go to a place, I'm just like.
No, but that's age.
It's also you're right. It's
Yeah.
also
Like,
it's
we're
also
older
age.
and-
But even the places we always used to go to back then, now when you go, of course, we're 20 years older, and so you got the age group is much younger. But even it's weird.
Yeah, they don't
It's
have
weird.
this life. Their life is not like our life. They're the 20-year-olds are not living the life we had when we were 20.
At all. So
Yeah.
it's like it's this weird mishmash, and I'm there, and I'm like, like Farah was like a friend of ours at a party, and she slipped. She's like, oh, you know, are you going to what's his name's party? I'm just like, oh. He didn't tell me about, and she looked like uncomfortable that she told me because he had mentioned it before but not invited me. And then today, I saw her. She's like, by the way, you know, like, you know, making excuses for why he didn't actually invite me. And I told her if I cared, I would understand. I don't care that he didn't invite me because when I go to these things, I feel like I'm the oldest person in the room, and everybody's drinking, and I'm so past that. I rarely drink when I go out now. Like I'd rather go out for dinner and a bottle of wine and food and have like a nice plate and have a conversation with my friends than
meet.
I agree.
Yes.
Agree, and me too.
Now it's so nice, but I can't do these even big groups.
Me too. But is that post-corona? For me, that's post-corona.
Corona had a big part to play with that because I didn't like being around a lot of people in closed spaces. After I was super relaxed.
No, for me, it's not about the closed space or COVID. I don't know.
No, actually, till now, if I'm in a space where there's a lot of people and it's closed off, I'm just like...
Why, are you germaphobe?
I'm not a germaphobe. It's too many people and it's too much shared air, oxygen.
It's not about air. It's just I'm not used to a lot of people anymore.
I'm also not used to... I don't connect as easily when there's just too many people.
Yeah.
It's like the small talk thing I can't do.
Yeah.
Maybe because I don't drink very often. Before I used to drink more often, so the small talk was like...
Easy.
It was easier. But now it's like I have a hard time to do the small talk. So it's like I won't go. Like I feel bad, but I have a hard time going to these things, these gatherings. Like if it's more than 10 people, I have a hard time.
Yeah,
I'll go
it depends on which
but
one. Yeah, it depends on the...
If it's somebody who's close, I'll go. But I always end up feeling, I don't know, because also like, I guess at our age now, it takes you a long time to recover from drinking or sleeping too late even if you haven't had a drink. If I sleep too late,
You'll get tired.
I'm tired for like a few days after it. So I really need to kind of pick very wisely where I go and what I go to with.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But
No, when I was a kid, when I moved, when I was a kid, I was 23, but I moved smoking around 6 to 7 cigarettes a day. Immediately within like a week, I was smoking a pack a day.
Here?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, it's true. We're such bad influences.
And then when I tried to quit, I said I couldn't. I had a hard time quitting. After 6 months, it was so hard on my lungs. So I was like, I'm gonna quit. It was hard to quit. And then I said, okay, I'm not gonna quit. And I don't even need to reduce. But I just won't smoke when I go out. So whenever I go out, I won't smoke one cigarette. And when I go home, if I want to smoke a pack, I'll smoke a pack. Like no big deal. No limit on the quantity. I would go out and I would realize after like 45 minutes that I'm bored. And I had to do something.
yeah.
And that's why I was smoking. And so then I was like, okay, I'll just go home, had 1 cigarette or 2 cigarettes and go to bed. That's it. If I was just bored.
Well, the drinking, I
By the way,
drank
the
at that age because I was
Drinking is like
bored.
that too.
By
Yeah.
the way, for me, the drinking was like...
It's a
for
way
me,
to
it's
cope
not
with what's-
bored. I think I've said this many times. I'm more closed up. So in bigger social situations, I need alcohol to be able to communicate with people or there's nothing coming out of my mouth. Like literally,
It's not
in my
meant you, but that's
20s and
fine.
30s,
It's like a facilitator.
if I do not drink alcohol, I'm the most unsociable, unpleasant person in that room. So I had to be a little bit.
most
And then,
people are.
and
Most
then
people
when
are
I
not
was
sociable.
when I was tipsy, I was like, everyone was like, she's so much fun. Like I always had people telling me, "You're Nira's sister, but Nira's so nice." I was like, thanks.
It really bothers me when people say that. I'm like, she's Gemini for crying out loud. She's extremely kind.
No, but you are more closed off than Nina, for sure. And not in real life, in first impression.
I am in real life. I'm just older now because I'm older, so I'm able to be more open. Like, you know what I mean? With all my life experience, and I appear as much more open now than I used to. But in essence, I'm still
an introvert.
I'm still an introvert, not so much. But anyways.
It's funny though, because I'm an extrovert, but in certain situations, it's like I'm sitting around and I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I look such a fuddy-duddy. Like I'll be sitting there at these things and I'm just like, Nira,
But
why
that's
are you
ambivert.
talking?
It's like ambivert. Person who still needs time to recharge alone, but
Yeah.
also
really?
recharges with people. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like, I'm like, I don't know what to say to anybody. I don't really feel like talking to, I get to that point where I'm like, I can't be bothered with small talk anymore. Like, I just can't. how's the weather? I'm just like, the moment I say how's the weather, I'm just like, you'll see me, I'm like, I'll leave the party almost immediately. Or I do like, what are they, the Paris exit, Farah called it the Michael, you pulled a Michael Jackson, because I'm sitting in the party and everybody's talking, and all of a sudden I kind of start taking, like, walking backwards, and I'll just leave without saying bye to anybody, because...
But that's an age thing, I think.
It's
like...
Yeah.
I think it's
probably.
like, I don't have time to have a bad time anymore. Right? Like, I'm not...
You're like, this isn't good. This is working for me. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I have so many things to do that I love, and I also don't have time to waste, not because I'm older and I'm running out of time, but yeah, time's more valuable. When we were kids, I'd stay in Tabasco for like 4 hours and do nothing. Or 5 hours.
Tabasco?
It's true. Those
5
days were so
hours.
much fun.
But they were more fun than if you go to these places. Go
Because
out
you
now
met
to
so many
these
different
places.
people.
It's different. It's the whole.
But because you
Atmosphere's
also have
changed.
something to do with your time.
Yeah.
When we
Yeah,
were
when
younger,
we're
we had
busy,
less
for
to do
sure.
with our time.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
work, and then that's it, and friends, that's it.
And boyfriends.
And boyfriends, and potentials, and check out the guy.
Yes, yes. How was that with you?
Now, it's a totally different scene.
Oh my God, let's not.
Yeah, let's.
Like, Heba loves my. I was just like, Nira, what's going on these days? I'm just like,
I love Nira's stories. Nira comes up with the weirdest people I've ever seen that she dates. I'm always like, where the fuck do you find these men?
I date.
But they're, it's a different scene.
Than
is,
20 years ago,
First
for
of
sure.
all,
For sure.
I was just telling Heba, like their approach, like a man's approach can be traditional, and then after a week time, it starts to get a bit freaky deaky, and then you're like, I'm like, and most of them are younger than me, by the way. I haven't.
Yeah, I know that. You told me that.
So far, I have yet to date somebody my age or a year older. Let's say, forget 5 years older, a year older. So most of the time,
But your age are older than you.
who my age?
But a man your age is older. Like, he's still typically that age group is older.
Yeah,
Like they're less out of shape. They're more out of shape. They're they're less interested. They're not curious anymore. They're the general.
It's 50-50, by the way, because then you'll
50%?
have 50, because you'll have, let's say, okay, I'm 46 going on 47. So you either have the older guys, my age, that have never been married, which is fine. I'm not going to judge anybody for that. Or you have the guys that have been married, divorced, and they just want to party their ass off.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And the I want to party my ass off is, I'm just like, okay, you got married when I was partying my ass off. So I'm not really gonna jive with that at all. Like, you want to go drinking and all stuff. The binge drinking that I used to do in my 20s and my early 30s, I cannot. I am still mortified that one time, it was a year and a half ago, I got wasted. I woke up the next morning. I don't remember what happened.
A year and a half ago?
Yes.
Where was I?
You were
at home sleeping with them.
Yes, exactly. And then till today, I'm just like, I cannot believe I let that happen. Like I'm still mortified till today that I got that wasted, which is this is like the second time it's happened to me in my life. And I'm just like, I'm too old for this. To wake up the next morning embarrassed that I don't know what I said, who I talked to, what I did. How did I end up?
Such exciting
But
times.
why is that mortifying? That's
because it's mortifying because
unless
I
you did
cannot
something terrible.
remember. I cannot remember. You know what I'm saying? Like, did I do something scandalous? Maybe. Do I remember it? Nope. Which is a good thing, by the way.
It's kind of good.
You know what I'm
Ignorance is
saying?
bliss.
So I'm like, I don't remember if something happened. I don't remember. So that's my excuse.
Who are you with?
None of your beeswax, Heba.
Okay.
Okay.
No, but that's why. I.
So finding something to
Never-
date is very difficult. It's not.
I still look for
super
people
easy.
to date the same way I did when I was younger, and so that's obviously very unsuccessful.
How's that?
Like through common friends,
Yes.
I go out, it's a common party, whatever, and so you'll find like 2-3 people who are available.
Yeah.
And some of them are traumatized, some of them are like you're saying, partying like crazy, different lifestyle. So it's like almost zero. So I stay long periods of time single.
Me too. Like really, and Heba, and this one, I was always like, it's not that difficult, Nira. I'm just like, I don't know about you, Heba, but for me, it's really difficult because then you meet a guy, you're like, oh, he's nice. He's from, and not that I care about this, from a good, like same upbringing, you speak the same language.
Yeah, you want to be on the same wavelength. For
yeah,
sure.
and then get freaky deaky and start talking about other girls that they've been with
No,
by
I want to know
name.
what the freaky deaky is. Aren't you curious about what the freaky
Yeah,
deaky is? I want to know what the freaky deaky is.
But,
I want to see.
and
I wanna
also
hear.
when she says it's freaky deaky, and then she says they start talking about other girls. That's not freaky deaky. Freaky
No, the
deaky
other girls, that's disrespectful.
fucked up.
That's
just
disrespectful.
wrong.
But no, behind closed doors, their expectations are not what I grew up like. And I'm talking
Are we
behind
talking sexually?
sexually.
Okay,
It's not. I'm like PG-13 here.
Okay, that's TMI for me.
You know, no, I don't do anything.
What does
but
TMI mean?
Too much information.
too much information. I don't do anything, but it's like the dick pics. It's like this is the normal way to communicate
Yeah,
with people,
yeah,
the
we
younger
were talking-
I
generation.
don't have this experience.
Okay,
I didn't
yeah.
have it either,
I'm
but
not,
we
like,
spoke
interested.
about it before, and she was telling
Tell
me
me
how.
more.
Yeah, I was like, what? I want to hear about this. No, apparently now men will send you that you date. They'll send you pics of their
At our age?
their
Yeah, oh yeah.
penis.
Oh wait. Men, not, but you know that might be the fact that they're younger than me.
But how much younger? I'm talking like I wouldn't do this if I was above 35.
So maybe
6,
they're
8
young-
years?
No, you know what it is? Maybe it's because they're younger than you. Then they're trying to like show off their male genitalia. Maybe it's still
It's not about
wrinkled
that.
and
The girls, the younger girls now as well. I'm not saying I'm generalizing. I'm not saying all are like this, but girls now, like I hear stories from my guy friends. I'm just like,
But these are people they don't know well, or these are people that are dating.
they're dating. Like he's like, my friend of mine is dating this girl, and the girls like to be tied up now. They like, it's kink on another level. That's the thing. It's kink on another level where it's like 50 Shades of Grey. Everybody wants to do it now. You know, this
Here
it's
and
like Christian Grey, and like, so now it's like everybody has toys, and I'm like, oh, bye
That's
bye.
experimentation.
Experimentation.
I mean, I've never done it, but I think it would be.
But experimentation is fine when you've been in a relationship for a year or 2
while,
years.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not when you've just known them for a month. Then
Yes, no,
experiment elsewhere.
I agree.
I'm good. You know? Then
So
that's,
you haven't had that experience with the pics?
No, but I also honestly
good.
have. I don't date that often. Like I do. I really do go through like stretches of time. I think last time I dated somebody was 2 years ago.
yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
that.
Well, me too.
I mean,
Well-
dated someone seriously.
Well, me too. I mean, I'll tell you something. Marrying is kind of like that for a while sometimes, because after you're married for too long, then you got these periods where you like, it's like there's no connection, there's no intimacy, there's nothing. So it's kind of like being single.
Well, I love that. Yeah, I have the babies.
It's like my roommate. He's like a roommate. It's like just like, what do you want to eat? What are we gonna order today? Do you want to watch this movie? And then we sit and like on Netflix, like, what movie are we gonna watch? And then we don't agree to anything. Like, good night, good night, good night.
But
Yeah.
like the last guy I dated, like I feel a need to say this, and it's not because I want to. I'm not asking him to put a ring on my finger or anything like that. But the last guy I dated, he's like, one of the first questions he asked me is like, "Why are you still single?" And it was,
That's annoying.
I looked at
Why
him
is
like,
that annoying?
I looked at him. I'm like,
That's
why?
annoying to
Why?
ask
But
that.
the thing is, it's
Because he thinks she's a beautiful girl and she's
But- and-
talented and ambitious and
But
happy and
he's-
whatever. And she what?
That's a good
actually,
point.
Why
I,
would
wow,
she-
I didn't.
That's
look
a
at-
good point.
That's a good point.
I think that's why people ask that. Is like why are you single? Like
And so I told him, I'm like, why are you single? So he's like, oh, I'm like, I'm single because I choose to be single, and quite frankly, I haven't met anybody that has really interested me in that way. And then I think within the conversation, I put it out there because I don't want to waste my time at all, and I don't want to waste their time. I'm like, I have no desire to have kids. Like, I'm not having kids. That's done for me. Like, I don't want to have kids at 46 or 47 or 48. It's not in it for me. So I told him, by the way, I don't want to have kids. To let him know that if this is something that he wants, then let's
Yeah,
just be friends
absolutely.
and go look somewhere else.
Because he doesn't have kids and he
He
wasn't
doesn't
married.
have kids and he's never been married. You know, I mean, he's younger than me, but so for me, I'm trying to be kind in the sense that I don't want you to waste your time.
but you didn't even date him.
Yeah, but it was.
No, she did
you
date
could-
him. You
I did
dated
date
him
him for a
for a
month and a
few
half.
months.
But it's
Oh, a month and a half only?
2, maybe. Oh no, actually, probably 2. But it felt like one of those relationships, you know, from the beginning that could get serious very quickly because.
He met the parents.
Yeah, you know.
And he didn't want.
No, he said.
wanted kids.
Most of the time, they think I'm joking when I'm say that.
He wanted kids.
He didn't say I want kids or I don't want kids. He didn't respond to that. But you know, so a couple, and then he just kind of like brushed over it, and I was just like a few weeks later, I'm just like, did you think about what I told you about me not? And he's like, oh, you're serious? And I'm like, I don't even know why people think I'm joking about this, but Ishta, I'm very serious. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, I did think about it. I'm like, huh? So you don't mind if I have a second wife to have kids? I'm like, we're not married yet, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
Are you serious?
Like he had thought like, okay, so if you don't want to have kids, then it's okay for me to have a second wife, and then they're gonna.
But then
kids.
So he's so attached to you that he has to have you as the first wife?
Exactly.
At least you're the first.
But I told him, I'm like, Habibi, I didn't tell you this because I'm talking about marriage. I'm just saying this because time is important to people and to me and stuff like that. And it's just, if this is something that you want, then I'm not going to have a first, second wife kind of a situation. Then ends where it ends. You know what I'm saying? But
I always think about this, you know, I think like, because now I want a family and like, I'm looking at different options, whatever. And I think about this all the time. I'm always like, there's all these weird situations where you find like your friend who is married for the past God knows how many years and they can't have kids and they chose not to choose alternative situations. And you're kind of like, but we're friends, so maybe we could have kids. And you're like,
Here in Egypt?
No, of course I would.
Okay,
I didn't
I was
do
going to
it.
say.
But I have thought
Egypt?
about it. In Egypt, yeah.
Oh.
I have thought about it. I mean, it's not that I never approached anyone to do this, but I always think like, you know, in one situation, if somebody wants kids and they can't have kids, why not have kids with the person who, for example, is not in a situation to have kids? You know, like, I know
when
it gets
they're
messy.
when they're in that marriage, let's say you could have potentially have a kid with that guy.
I think, like I
would you?
I don't know if I would, but I don't see why there is nobody who did.
Well, I think first of all,
It's a complicated situation.
it's complicated, and I don't think legally you can do that here.
If a guy marries you,
He has to marry.
he has your children, and then you can divorce, and then
That's
he's
right.
the parent of your children, and you're the parent. You got the children that you couldn't have because you were not married.
I'm sure any woman would not agree to that if she's a wife. She probably would be like,
She can't have kids either.
but she probably would be like, over my dead body, you have kids with somebody else, and not. I mean, I think that would create a lot of tension with that couple. Because, you know, that was the weird thing about here, whereas there was one time that I was there, Hazem was at work, because I've done IVF, yeah? I did 8 rounds of IVF to get pregnant. And so when I basically, one of the times I was going in, the guy called me up, he's like, you need to do the transfer today. Hazem has to sign off that he's consents to it. I was like,
Yeah,
but he was with me. He's the one who, it was so
You're
bizarre.
not allowed
I was
to
like,
have a man sperm in your body that's not a man that's legally married to you. Here.
no, but Hazem's married to me, but he still needs to consent to it. So I was like, kind of
Because
like,
he has to say that it's his sperm. Basically.
yeah. But they did it. They did the sperm thing. They did the transfer. They know it's Hazem. It's just weird that the day of the transfer, he has to be there with me and he has to sign off that, because even if it's fertilized, it's not okay for me to go on my own and decide to have his child without him saying I'm okay with it.
I didn't know that.
It was so weird.
But that kind of makes sense.
Makes sense, but it's kind of the same thing in a way, right?
No, it's like all these stories. You hear of a guy who had sex with a woman and then all of a sudden she's pregnant and she decides to keep it and he doesn't want to have a kid. And he has no right to decide that he can't have a kid because she's holding the kid. That's weird. I find that weird. So it's like, why should he be allowed to, why should you be allowed to have a kid if he doesn't want a kid?
I know
just
what you
because
mean.
it's an embryo.
I know what you mean, but in a way, like if I'm married to somebody, I get pregnant, and he tells me, no, I want you to abort the child, and I don't want to, it's not his decision at that. I mean, it is.
Is it not his decision?
Not really.
You see,
if I want to, and we're married, and we're in a relationship,
but
that's part of the
if
relationship.
I want to, it's his kid too. Just because you are holding the kid hostage in your stomach doesn't make it. Again, I don't know. It's a two-sided point.
We're married, so I mean, what I mean.
But it's the same thing as. This is very like.
It's very blurry. I know what you mean.
A woman gets pregnant, let's say, and the husband is really happy and he wants to have the kid, and she decides to abort. Is it her decision or is it their decision? It should be their decision. It should be.
I think in that situation it should be a little bit more made to the woman, because she, again, like even if he wants the kid really badly, she still has to carry the kid for 9 months, where she should have a bit more of a say.
The same the reverse.
Then the same thing in reverse.
No, she wants to carry the kid. Okay.
It's like if Hazem and I, I get pregnant, and then he tells me, no, I don't really want to have kids. I'd be like, but I want to have kids. I was very clear when I got married that I want to have kids. So what do you want? Did you not want to have a kid? We can get a divorce,
No,
but I want to have a kid. I can raise it without you.
I mean, again, it goes back to how did you have sex in the first place? Like, why did you have sex that was unconsensual and
No, but I'm talking in the sense that we're
non-protected?
married, and we're like having.
But you had unprotected sex. So
Yeah.
why did you have unprotected sex? So you didn't want to have kids, like.
Yeah,
so
well,
we
it's
could go back
implied.
It feels better. I don't like wearing condoms. That crap that I hear from
But
guys.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like you can't have that and then come back and be like, well.
Then
I didn't
take
want the
precautions not to get pregnant. Then
kid. Yeah,
take
take precautions, then get pregnant.
Oh, I did take precautions for 10 years. I never got pregnant.
I'm looking for the ultimate precaution when I go menopause. I'm like, it's gonna be like done deal. Sorry, closed. Closed for business permanently. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm actually.
You could tie your tooth.
I could. I
Wait for
don't. But,
menopause to get married. I could just tie
true.
your tooth.
I could. You could definitely do that. You can snip them. Forget
Well, you
tying
don't
them.
need to. It's not like you're having sex all the time.
No, but
She's saying if she were to get married.
If
So
I
it's
were-
a
Oh,
perfect,
okay, okay.
perfect
But to
way to
me-
say no kids.
But to me, if I were to get married, when I get married or whatever, I've never been on the pill. I don't want to go on the pill. I don't. It's not. I'm not planning on that. But the idea of getting pregnant freaks the shit out of me. Like it freaks me out.
Okay, yeah, but you're
It
not in that
terrifies me.
situation.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
So you're not in that situation.
Yes, but
You're
I'm
fine.
like I see perimenopause as a looming kid. I'm excited
Yeah.
in a good way. I'm excited in a good way. It was just like, what? I'm just like, they're like, I'm doing hormone replacement therapy because I'm scared of what's going to happen. I'm like, no, I'm welcoming it with open arms. Can't wait.
Really?
Cannot wait.
And yeah, she started. Have you?
Yeah, I was just I'm flirting with it. I think that's what's happening these days. But I wonder what all these things are new to me. So I'm listening to people who are talking about hormone replacement. I'm listening to people talking about hot flushes, and I have like a unstable period these days. So I'm kind of like I'm
too.
definitely perimenopause.
It's unstable. It's only, and it happened, in fact, last 6 months, all of a sudden, it's either 2
So
weeks early.
during perimenopause, can you still get pregnant?
Yes.
Yes,
You
of
can,
course.
right?
Yes. Well, menopause is when you basically is declared menopause when you haven't had a period
For a year.
So after that, you can assume that you're probably not producing eggs.
Yeah.
But in the middle of that, I wouldn't assume. It's like people who get pregnant right after they had a kid, and it's like, at one point there was an egg being produced, of course. Like, I didn't have my period.
And so you're still thinking about having a family?
Yes, because of menopause.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think
Age is not a factor for you?
age is a small factor in the sense that, I mean, at one point if I'm gonna die at one point, then it's probably gonna be closer than it was 15 years ago, right? So, am I putting somebody at risk by raising a child who might lose their parent at a younger age? Definitely, I've thought about that, but again, I think these are challenges, and you look at what are the challenges, what are the obstacles, and you hedge for them. So I can put somebody who's stable around me, or 2 or 3 people who are stable, who are like not co-parents, but like the backup. That they're
Like how would you do that?
like if my brother is close to me, and I just make sure that relationship is very well nurtured and whatever. So if ever something happens, or I put some sort of a godparent, and I make sure that this relationship with the godparent is very strong, I'll probably do that on 3 or 4 relationships with people who are younger than me.
So you're still pursuing trying to like have a child,
Definitely.
single,
Yes.
and you worry about that?
Yes.
Because it's tough even when you have another parent.
Yes, I worry about it. But again, I usually worry about something that's not like you don't decide to not do something because it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's true, because you
You
could
just-
get a divorce when in the middle and like have
Yeah.
a kid, so it's not.
And there's a million problems. Like you can't
Yeah, you can't predict it.
predict your problems. I
Yeah.
think you go for what you want and you hedge around the problems that you're going to have.
Yeah.
I think.
I think mainly what I was kind of a little insecure about being a parent at the age of 40.
That's because of society.
Yeah, I think because, and also like at schools now, I'm like the oldest parent there. Like all the other ones are like 35, and and it's like, wow, they're like more than 10 years younger than me.
Yeah, and you're probably much more cool than they are.
No, sometimes I feel like they're more mature than me, and I'm kind of like, what the fuck? How'd that happen? I'm almost 50, and these bitches are more mature than me.
Well, no, having kids you mature when you have a child, and if they're having it at a much younger age, they're there sooner than you are, 10 years before you. You see what I'm saying? Like if they have
You're
kids
at
at
your
30
maturity, but 10 years earlier.
exactly.
Yeah, I
So
guess.
you had that kid at 32, you had a 42. There's that age difference, right? So they matured at 32. You're maturing at 42 with regards to having kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, because they're 10 years younger, but now they have that responsibility of
But I
caring
mean,
for
that
them.
exists, and I mean, you're
Yeah.
comparing everything,
It's true.
right? Like this person has more money than me. This person has a better job than me. This person has a better relationship. Like whatever. This
Yeah.
person's younger. There's always a reason to feel a
Yeah.
little insecure about anything.
Age is an insecurity in my
No.
in my mind. For me, I'm kind of pretty insecure about that. The whole thing. I always talk about
Because of
the Botox, being an older
I'm
parent.
insecure about the aesthetics.
I'm
of
always
age.
like, everybody's doing Botox.
But
Everybody,
Heba's like gloating now with me because I'm having symptoms of perimenopause. She's not, and she's older than me. She's like, and then I started wearing reading glasses, and she doesn't need reading glasses. So I mean,
and I'm
it's-
fighting it. No, but the reading glasses, I still don't need them, which is great. But so I try to convince myself, no, I'm not that old because I don't need the reading glasses yet, and I don't have perimenopause. But yeah, no, that whole thing. I mean, especially with the whole ageism thing and the dyeing your hair now, and everything people talk about leaving your hair gray, and also the Botox and all of that. I couldn't do that.
I leave my hair.
No, I'm lucky.
Really?
I
Because you don't have a lot.
Yes,
Yeah, I
we don't
have
have a lot. I have sporadic hairs, but which I don't like very much. But the whole Botox thing, and it's like I haven't done that yet. I tried it once a
Botox
long
and
time
fillers
ago.
freak me out.
Yeah, that freaks me out. Especially that I think as you get older, that it gets worse and worse, and the women it starts to reverse. It's like they look older than actually younger. But that's my opinion. But I know everybody who does it.
But a friend of mine, we all know quite a few people that have done it, right? That are
I
still
know
doing
very few
it.
people who have not.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Like me, I haven't at all.
I tried it once,
and then
4 years ago, I think.
I was looking at a friend of mine. She does it, and I'm looking at her. I'm like, I wish sometimes they could see to me what looks slightly deformed, because it does when you do Botox, especially. You start laughing. There's things that move and things that don't move, and it starts to change. But it starts to change the way your muscles actually move when you smile. When you, the eyes become really even smaller. The cheeks all have a dimple on either side. There's like a certain area where people are doing Botox because they get that dimple that's right underneath the eye.
I don't know.
I don't know, but
Oh,
they just look. I can tell usually when.
But some people do have amazing jobs. Like I had an aunt who did it. Now she's much older, but when she did it, probably like 55, 58, something like that. She looked amazing. She pulled her face.
Yes,
Faceless, I agree with the
facelift.
facelift.
I'm all for it. I'm doing one. I'm getting one too.
I don't want to do a facelift, but if you're gonna do anything to make yourself look younger, do that.
But
it looks more
it
natural.
seems like when you pull your face, the doctor doesn't want to pull your face unless I haven't talked to doctors yet. I will start in like 5 years or so. But like when you pull your face, the doctor doesn't want to pull your face unless he puts Botox or fillers after he pulls your face.
Why?
Oh no.
Because, I don't know. I guess because when he pulls the bone shows more, and so he wants to make sure. Like the whole point is to look younger, and not older. And so I think part of it is when your bones show.
I think
But I've
I think
seen
it's
some
also
people-
that
I've seen
people now want. It's not the pulled look is not enough.
They
people
want the
to have
full.
No,
like
but
the
that's-
smooth skin and everything.
That's
But
his-
with a facelift, you still have kind of wrinkles, but you just look more rejuvenated. You look better.
There-
I've seen people who've done facelifts
without
and they
anything?
look
Yeah.
without anything,
Without anything?
and
Yeah.
without
Are you
anything,
sure?
and I'm
Yeah,
positive,
positive.
100%, and they look amazing.
I
Like,
want
you see
a
the
facelift.
picture before. Me too. Okay,
me
we need to
that-
go
to me
together
that-
so we can get like
to me
a
that
2
makes
for 1
sense.
special.
That makes way more sense, because sometimes like I'll be walking around and I know this woman, and this woman comes and says hi to me, Nira, hi, and I'm like, hi. I'm like, who is? And then all of a sudden I look, I'm like, oh my god, like literally like, oh my god. I'm like, I've known them for a very long time, but because they keep doing it and redoing the Botox and the fillers, in my opinion, they're unrecognizable, and I think they look so much older had they not. Like, there's like,
And also, I think it's not controllable. Like you can't
Yeah.
control what you're gonna look like after you put in stuff. Like
Yeah.
you can't control if the Botox is gonna allow you to move this part, and then you're like, oh my god, this part doesn't move, and then you go and get more Botox.
Our mother did it because she has like I have it too. That
Yeah, I have it too.
What
The
do you
frown
call it?
lines.
That frown line, the between my eyebrows, and my mother has it as well. And she
It
did
was
it
like-
one time, and
my
like
God.
literally the three of us. She did it, I think, twice. And
Last time she did it was like 15 years ago.
no, thank God, because the second time she did it, I said full on, don't ever do it again, because she started getting wrinkles around her eyes
Because of that?
Because of that.
No way.
Because that's why if you're gonna Botox that frown line, they tell you Botox your entire forehead and the sides, because you're literally, I'm like, Mom, frown. And
You're
she's like-
pushing the
She's
wrinkles.
frowning, but it's
The
not
rest of her
moving.
face
No,
is
but the
moving.
funny
rest of it is
thing,
moving.
the funny thing is when she came back, she like we didn't say anything. We looked at her like, oh my god, don't look at mom, don't nobody look at mom. And she's looking at us like she thought like she pulled a fast one. It wasn't obvious. So the next day we didn't say anything. So the next day she's like, by the way, I did Botox. I was like, Mom, of course, yeah. I could have seen it like from like a mile away. And she's like, really? Is it obvious? I was like, you look like a freak. Like there was this, and this was a long time ago, and this was like really high up. Now they do it, I think, a bit better. But at the time, and we looked at her, we're like, Mom, don't ever do that again. And she realized she was like a little uncomfortable about it, and she
It
didn't do it
made
again.
her look older.
It made her look weird.
I need to do Botox here because I have like, I don't know if they're frown lines, whatever.
Yeah,
these
they're
lines.
frown lines.
But I won't do it.
And I had a friend of mine, this other girl that I know, she's not a friend, but this other girl that I know, because our father is a chemist, and his best friend, Botox, the good stuff, is extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. It's
That's
not
just
cheap.
poison. Botox is
It's poison. You're poisoning your muscle to
Yeah.
paralyze your muscle. This girl, she's a friend of a friend. She walks in one day and she's wearing glasses, and it's almost dark, and I'm just like, what's up with this? I'm like, she took off her glasses, and of course she's all bruised, like somebody who's done a facelift. And so I asked her friend, I'm like, what the hell happened here? She obviously got a bad batch of Botox that permanently paralyzed a lot of muscles on her face.
Oh my God.
In a bad way. This is what freaks you out.
Yeah, this
You
is
are
what freaks
injecting poison in your body to paralyze a muscle. Hello people. So obviously something happened wrong, and it started drooping, and so she was forced to do a facelift to correct and fix what the Botox basically fucked up. in
Oh
her
my
face.
God.
Oh, that's so weird.
It's
a
really,
nightmare.
it's really like I saw her recently. She looks great, but like I'm like, if that's not a signal
Yeah,
not to do
not to
it,
do.
like ever, just in case.
But it's like what Dina said. We're like probably the 3 people that don't do it. You know what I mean? It's like literally like a handful of people that don't.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody else I know does.
Yeah, everybody.
But yeah, I have that obsession.
I have this obsession. I have this aging obsession for aesthetics.
Oh, for me, it's like very real, and it bothers me.
And also, like, there's this. Obviously, I do more, so like this is not fair, but it is what it is, right? Sometimes when I sit down, I'm just like, I don't want to move. Like, I don't want to get up. I'm just tired, and I don't want to like go to work, or I don't want to whatever. And I feel like if I just let into that, that's the beginning of like deterioration.
Yeah, I know what you. No, it's funny because after Nira and I sold the 4 Fat Ladies a couple years ago, since then. We worked pretty hard then. Since then, I have a hard time working as hard as I used to before. And I think, like you're saying, it's a factor of age. And everybody's like, that's why I think it's maybe easier when you start a little bit earlier. Like, not that much earlier, but like early 40s, I still had the stamina to work 5, 6, 7 days a week, and I could do that. Now it's like, after a certain time, my mind is like, I'm not doing anything anymore. It's like, I'm shutting down. I'm not moving. I'm not taking on that other
but that
project.
worries
I'm not.
me. It worries me that I would succumb. I still haven't succumbed to that, but like, I feel like it's gonna be okay. You close down at 6, and then in 4 years it's gonna be closed down at 4, and then you know what I mean. And then all of a sudden you're like closing down at 1. You're working 2 hours a day, and then you're not working at all, and then your brain is.
No, I don't think so.
I'm starting
Also,
all
you
over
seem
again.
to be. You're very dynamic, and you're always doing something, and you're always like. So it can get a little bit tiring sometimes. Sometimes you need a break. I feel like. Now, one of the issues that we have to deal with now is burnout, and it's very, very real. And I don't think it's because I don't think we work necessarily less. I think we just started working way too much than we used to. And 20 years ago, did you work that much? in a way. Like
well,
I'm
20
thinking
years
about
ago
it.
is a long time, but like 15 years ago, yeah, I worked this much.
That's, I'll tell you something. There was a time where it became very busy and it became the norm to work very hard. And that was probably around my mid-30s, early 30s
Even
probably.
early 30s, yeah.
Early 30s for like a good 15 years, I was working like a lot. But I think before that, like early 2000s when you came, when I started
I was
working,
23.
it's
I mean,
no, but even then, I don't remember anybody working so hard.
Yeah, but it was less competitive back then, and you didn't have to.
Yeah.
No, did you really know people in their mid 30s at 23
Did I?
really well to see if they're burning out or not? Or
No, I
I don't
didn't.
think. No, back then, well, that you see, that's how everything changes. Now your friends are 10 years younger than you. Then there's 10 years older than you. Back then, we were all pretty much the same age, give or take a couple of years.
Yeah, I had some friends who were in their early 30s, and they were working hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
They were like borderline burning.
But like let me think. When I was in my 20s and 30s and I was in PR, a lot of the people I knew that worked, let's say at P&G and stuff like that, no, they worked quite hard.
Really?
But now you have to work even harder.
Yeah. To stand out.
because the hierarchy scheme has changed in a lot of these multinationals. You know what I'm saying? So from what I've heard, once you're in P&G, if you don't leave, you don't leave. But there's also that they promote from within, but it's getting harder and harder because you have a newer generation that I don't even know. By the way, you feel like the whole workforce industry has shifted.
So what do you do when you feel like that?
This is more and more these days. I just keep going. It's harder, but I don't give up. I just come home much more exhausted, and sleeping is harder when you're super exhausted.
Yeah.
But I don't back down. Like I'll let go of some social activities. Also now you're like traveling, like on a normal day I'll go to. Now I live in 6th of October. That's a new shift. But I used to be in Maadi. I'd go Maadi, Tagama at 6 in the morning. Come back, dress, get ready, whatever. Sometimes I either go back to Tagama or go to 6th of October. Then go to Zamenhof to the office, and then come back and go to the other side.
What
So
do you
like
like to get off for 6 o'clock in the morning for?
I still
Work out
actually,
there?
yeah, I work out there.
No way. Where do you work out?
I have a personal trainer, so he's based there.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's dedication, girl. So, I think you're being a little harsh on yourself then. If like,
What
that's
I'm
pretty
saying
impressive.
is that is like now you're kind of like, oh my god, let's cut this down. Let's cut. Whereas I never even would have thought to cut it down before it.
And when you have kids, you're going to have to cut it down probably a little bit more.
I will definitely have to cut it down, at least at the first, 3 to 7 years.
Yeah.
Oh, Heba gets so mad at me. I'm like, Heba, she's like, what do you have to do? You don't have any kids. You have nothing to do. I'm like, yeah, but I still have my life and I like my life. You know what I'm saying? I don't want the kids to come now. So even though I love her, I love my nieces and my nephews like to death, but it's, you're free. And I like that. I come and go as I please. I don't really have the responsibility of kids, which is
Big.
huge responsibility. I always wanted to have kids, and then at a certain point when I turned, I think 38, it was one of those ideas where I was just like,
I think nowadays one or two is plenty. Like 20 years ago, I wanted to have like 4 kids, but nowadays I think one or two.
Because of money?
Money, time. If you're working, the working is like, it's intense now when you work. You can't do the bare minimum like you were saying. It's changed the whole environment. So you do have to do quite a bit. And
when they spend the night at our place for one night, Zayn sleeps with me in my room and Nina sleeps with my mother. They wake up. Zayn, do you want to eat? Do you want to eat? So it's like for a good hour and a half, I'm busy, even though normally I would just put on my gym clothes and walk out of the house, go to the club and do my thing. Where no, Zayn, do you want water? No water, go to the bathroom. So there's an hour where you're dedicated and I'm just the end to making sure everything's okay. So if I leave now, there are no issues. My mom might still be sleeping or something like that. So even when they spend the night, even when I travel with them, it's like what about the kids? We got to do this for the kids. They become,
it shifts your whole,
the focus becomes there.
My biggest problem, I take my nieces a lot, but like my biggest problem with kids is, I don't mind this part. This part for me is like automated. It's, I actually enjoy it. It's okay. But what I have a problem with is sometimes they just constantly need attention.
Yeah.
And you can't, I mean, okay, sometimes you can, force them to do their own thing, but often it's like, no, you can't keep doing this every day. Like if the kid needs your attention and you didn't spend time with them yesterday, you actually have to be there doing some boring asinine thing with them non-stop, and like you're like, oh my god, I can be doing so many more productive things right now.
Like yesterday, Zayn, we came back and Zayn is like trying to tell me a story, and I'm half listening to it because I need to get in, and I didn't have a nanny. Okay, so I'm like, I have to get in, I have to give them a bath, I have to put them in bed, I have to get them something to eat. So it's just me and the kids, which is fine. Doesn't bother me at all. And I don't feel like overwhelmed by that. A lot of parents do, but I like it. But the list, that's the thing, is the mental.
Yeah.
So he's telling me this whole story, and I'm
And
half
it's such
listening.
a slow pace, and you're like,
And Zayn,
you can do this in 4 minutes.
And
Mommy,
if you look,
Mommy,
are you listening to Auntie Nira? Are you
no,
listening
and
to
then-
me?
And then he's like, why aren't you listening to me? But I was like, I am listening to you. He's like, okay, then what was I talking about? And what did I say? I was like, oh, you said, if I will start like the beginning of the story. I said, yeah, your book, Dog Man. But I didn't understand what you meant after that. So then he goes, okay, well, because you're not listening to me. I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, this is for me. This can go on for hours.
Oh, and at bedtime? Can you read a book for us? No, you know how to read, so learn how to read. Just get better at it. No, but I want you to... Oh, my God. It's like...
Yeah.
No, Mommy's very tired, very, very tired. So I sleep on the bed and I'm listening. Oh, my God.
Zayn talks a lot, and so sometimes I'm just like, he's like, he just keeps talking, and so it's kind of I just start nodding. I'm just like,
Well, it's true that
Are
at
you
the
listening to me,
beginning,
Auntie Nira?
the first 3 to 4 years is definitely more of a physical... Now I understand it when people said that. It's more physical tiredness. And then after that, it becomes more mental.
Yeah.
The mental, I still prefer the mental exhaustion than the...
Really?
Although it's so bizarre because if I go back, the first 3 years are quite easy when you think back. But when you're in it, you're like, oh my God, this is a disaster.
Because you're tired. You're also tired.
Not only
And
that, but
stressed.
it's easier because you kind of
And you had
just like...
twins.
oh, the
Yeah,
twins thing was-
but it's easier because what they're doing is pooping, sleeping. There isn't very much else that they're doing. Now it's like one wants to do one activity, one wants to do another one. There's this one wants to talk to you about this one wants to
No,
talk
and
to you
there's
about that.
external, like, all of a sudden there's friends and
Exactly.
play dates. And 6th of October and Tagamma, and one is here and one is there,
Exactly.
and you're like, no.
Yes, like play dates, and
You
I'm
have
like,
a niece and a nephew,
I have 2 nieces,
No,
but
two
they're
nieces.
different ages.
different ages. Yeah.
Their friends are not the same.
yeah. Well, mine are twins, and they're in the same class, so that kind of makes it a little bit easier. But
Yeah.
the poor thing, Nina is just hanging out with Zayn's friends.
Yeah.
And Zayn doesn't want Nina to come. It's just like sometimes I stick her onto them because it's like I don't have
Yeah.
any other way. Husband's not here. I have work. The nanny's one nanny. I cannot.
Yeah.
So I have to stick them together. For Zayn's like, oh my God, not again. Nina's coming with us, Mommy. I'm like, okay, listen. When she has her friends, when she's older, then she'll leave
So
you guys
we do.
alone. But I feel like they're still a bit young, so I'm okay. I can kind of get away with it. So
I love being an aunt, though.
yeah, because you give them back and you're okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I love being an aunt. I love being an aunt, but I still want to have a family.
Yeah.
And I've looked at adoption. I've looked at whatever. I looked at a lot of things, but
What are you
Think-
leaning towards? Wow, adoption. Is it easy to do that here?
it's called kafala, so it's more like fostering.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's some logistical issues with my lifestyle, so you can't, for example, travel. The kid can't travel without you.
Okay.
For example, the kid cannot take a foreign passport. The kid cannot.
So it's very complicated. It's more complicated. It's more.
It's more complicated. Yeah, it's.
Can you give them your name, or they're not? That's not allowed.
So you can switch again. I can't remember all the details, but I think you have 4 names. The legal is 4 names, and you can switch one name. The first name is switchable, and then you can add a name. So you turn them into 5 names.
Okay.
I can't remember if you can add a name or you can switch a name. I think you can add a name.
But can you do that here as a single parent?
Yes. The
Really?
law changed a few years ago, and a single woman, not a single parent, but a single woman can do it.
Oh wow.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is progress.
And what are the other alternatives you're looking at?
So yeah, I'm still looking at alternatives. I still haven't decided what, but I mean, 10 years ago I froze my eggs. 12 years ago now, actually, 12 years ago I froze my eggs. And so there's always an option to use the eggs in some way. If I get married, I don't know. Like, there's definitely eggs that can be used.
But just for people listening to this, like if you're in Egypt, you can't freeze your eggs if you're single.
You can freeze your eggs, but you can't
You
use
can't do
them.
the process and freeze them. Because I had a friend of mine
No,
who
you
tried to do
can.
that. You can?
Yeah, maybe
Oh,
both.
okay,
Maybe your
because
friend.
she-
It was old school. Now they can. I have friends who are doing it.
Ah, okay, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's good progress too.
Yeah, you
Okay.
just can't use them outside of a marital context here.
Okay. And I want to ask you something. How about in terms of like socially, or your parent or your mother? I know. How do they look?
Right.
Are they
Right.
okay with that, or are they not on board with you?
I don't. Socially, everyone says they're on board. I don't.
Friends, basically.
I
Yeah,
think that's
right.
cool as shit, though. I think that's so cool if you were to do that. Really,
Yeah, I mean,
respect.
I guess I also don't think about it for like I'm never gonna think about it for you if I think it's cool. Like if you think it's cool, I think it's cool. Like
Yeah.
for me, that's how I think.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The only thing I always thought about it is that, like, not having kids as you get older, you know, like our parents are getting older, so it becomes I go make sure that, my dad's okay and all of that stuff, and he has operation, I have to be with him and stuff like that. Then you realize that I'm getting
He's gonna be
older.
there for
I'm not gonna have that. But I'm really close to my sister's kids and stuff like that, and my nieces and my nephews. So it's a risk.
And I
It's
also
kind of like
think
a
that,
mental
you
risk that
might
you
be
take.
sick and she might not, or she might be sick and you might not. Like I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully, also everyone your age is not all gonna be sick at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, but you think about.
I think about that.
You
Sometimes.
think about it in that sense, and for me, when I think about it, I'm just like, okay, shit happens. Whatever happens, happens, and I really can't.
Nira,
like,
me and the kids are always going to be here for you.
I know. I'm not worried about that at all. And Shreen's kids as well, so it's like...
No, they're far. We're here. We're local.
They're all in the States. We're local, so... That's why it's good to be really close. Like, you're really close to your brother.
Yeah.
I'm really close
No,
to
I think
my
about this too.
sisters.
I think about but in a more of a negative sense, in the sense that like if I had a child, I wouldn't want to
I thought about
burden
that
my
too.
child with me being sick at a certain age, and this child is, for example, 18, 20 or whatever, and just starting their life, and then all of a sudden there's an aging mother
thought
that
about
needs,
that too.
like I think about that too. But it's the problem.
It's-
You have to hedge around that, right? So
Yeah,
I'll say, hey Nira, if anything happens to me, you take care of me. If anything happens to you, I'll take care of you. Whatever, you'll find the person or 6 people that will do this and make sure that the kid is protected.
Yeah.
In a way,
If you
though,
can.
it motivates you as an older parent. It motivates you to take care of yourself a little bit more.
Of course, and I
So-
take care of myself. I mean, for now.
So it's important.
Yeah.
And for me, I thought about that for sure, because I always calculate like, okay, I'm going to be, when they go to college, I'm going to be 60. So I'm always like, so now I am very conscious about trying to be healthy. I mean, we never know, right? But I try to be as healthy
Yeah.
as possible because I want to be there for them for as long as I can.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tough
Anyways.
decisions.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to thank you for that very sensitive topic, because it
Yeah.
is something that a lot of people don't like to talk about, and I think it's a really important one. And I think it's important to be transparent about it, because I feel like if people were more transparent with me too, I think I would have dealt with it easier.
Yeah.
Dealt with it not very well. But so thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing your story.
thank you for coming.
And we wish you the best of luck, of course. And we're there for you as well.
And I'm always here to babysit.
Yeah.
Let's just have the children first. Let's have those family.
I love babies. Like,
She's very good with them because she's got a big bosom. Anyway, so
funny story. Our older sister Shereen, when she had Mia in Germany, I was in the States at the time, so I flew to see her. I think it was around Thanksgiving. She was barely a month old, I think. And I held her, and she fell asleep like immediately. And then so Shereen, the next morning, I wake up. I'm like, did you sleep? You are not allowed to hold Mia after 5 p.m. I'm just like, what are you talking? She's like, she slept the whole time on your bosom, and she kept me up all night. So I was just like, deal. I won't carry her after 4 or 5 p.m.
So yeah.
Yeah.
On that note, on Nira's bosom's note, thank you everybody for listening. And if anybody has any questions for Dina, our guest, or us, please send us a DM on Who Said What on Instagram. And also don't forget to subscribe on all the platforms, on all the podcast platforms. And if you can, please leave us a review, because that would be really awesome. And we will put all the details about Dina and her and Eklego and all of that, so that if you guys want to contact her as well. She's super talented.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you for being
It was a
with
nice
us today.
hour.
Yeah.
It was really nice, actually.
We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you. Bye.